I plan for the next episode of the Steam and Steel series to be the last of the series, and then we might move on to new maps or new games, or otherwise I do have potential plans for series and games like Minecraft. But anyways, for today I want to sort out quite a lot of the track before the next episode. Oh, and by the way, next episode I'm going to need a lot of people to be running trains, so if you want to run trains, then join the Discord, link in the description, and I'll tell you the server password and stuff whenever it goes online. So first order of business is actually fixing up the yard where we store all of the cars, because 2 yards are really annoying, and it's a lot of things I want to repair with this. So first things first, we've got to move all of the cars somewhere, so let's just jump cut. So we have half the cars so far moved to the machine shop tracks, and we're not going to use the central track because I do actually want to do some things with it, and we need to now move these other 5 cars. And I forgot to mention that we have now renamed this locomotive in accordance with one of the comments on the last video. The small green tank locomotive still needs to be named. If you have any suggestions, please put them in the comments. Okay, and now that all of the cars have been removed, we can delete the 2 existing yard storage tracks. And now that the yards are gone, we can start working on the replacement. Something that I do want to do with this replacement is have a switch off here that goes directly into the new yard. So we start the yard with 10 tracks instead of 8 on each side, which should be enough to store all the cars. And we have a little bit of a thing in the machine shop, which either means we can use the machine shop as a run around or as an entry point or whatever we need to use it for. And I've been using the yard quite a lot, and that will be a very useful addition. Another thing is all of the tracks were quite a bit too long, so we can actually shorten them down to this. Then here we have our new and improved yard, which takes up much less space. This also does mean that we can remove this switch, which is down here, and I never really used it anyway for putting cars into the track. So now I look at this space and see we have a lot of empty space, so maybe I could put another engine shed or 2, but since we don't have enough locomotives to fill even the current engine shed that I've got, that would be kind of wasted. My camera is not responding at all. There's a lot of different prep that I want to do before the next video, which again will be the finale. And the biggest piece is this sandbar. The way that it's currently organised is very, very annoying with this steep 4% in the middle here. So I'm going to get a locomotive over, and I'm going to try to reroute this. We might have to do a little bit of terrain diggings, but also I'm getting the cars back into the yard between episodes because this is a horrific mess and I do not have the time to put it back together. Okay, maybe not, because I parked these cars on the main line, so I need to actually shove them into the yard. Okay, now we can go to the sandbar and fix that. So we're here at the route between the farm and the sandbar, and I am going to delete the atrocity that is the old track here. And what I might even do is change the station itself up. So yes, we have grade and that stuff off. Go track object switch. Yes, this is the switch we want. Plug that, and then we're going to try to go at a 1 but to try and keep the track nice and gentle as we go up. And the best way to do this will be to go outwards and then pull back in. This can be quite a decent high-speed route, so we are going to set curve to 250 to try and make sure that we can go around the curves without fear of derailing. So 250, whilst also compromising on 250 because it's better for tight spaces than 300, which would be my usual. Right, so we actually quickly, as we burst through this. Gonna change to stone temporarily. Trestle spline. Back to stone for a very short stretch, and then back to straight track. And then keep going round and up. Right, now, what is the incline? Okay, it's a 2% still, which is fine because it was already a 2% and then it hit the 4% and then it went back to being a 2%, so I don't really mind too much if we have to make the final stretch a 2%. Okay, that's 2.7%. So what we might actually do is just head around this way. What we might actually do then is after here, let's set it to about 1.7. Let's go through here, let's go through here, go back up to there. Then what's the grade looking like? 1.9. Okay, we can settle for that. And then these trees are a bit too close to the track. And yes, okay, this new route looks quite decent. It's a little bit of a shame that we do actually have to dig into the ground a little bit, but it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, we now come down around and into the sandbar, which is a lot nicer than what you can see the old solution was, which was a wibble with 4% in the middle. It's not intending for that rhyme. Before I forget, we're going to do a quick hot fix up at the coal mine. You might remember up here at the coal mine we made a little modification a while ago to add all of these tracks and industry buildings here. And I've changed out the actual storage bunks a couple times, but what we need is a way to run the engine round the train. So we're going to plop that bit of track there. Industrial track, we're going to reset grade and curve for this. To you? Ooh. Ugh. It's not a good curve. So actually let's do this and then this. Much nicer. We might move those storage bunkers, at least that one. I'm having to set graphics quality to 1 just because Roblox cannot handle both recording and modifying the track at the same time, so yeah. Industrial track, no rail, and then we can use that to cover up the switch. There we go, we can now run our engine around the train at the coal mine whenever we want to. So, on to the next change. So, ever since implementing this bit of track, I've taken the route from the bauxite mine through the forest camp as the primary route. So, this track up through the food factory is no longer the primary route round. So, the current plan, whilst my locomotive runs around, is to change entirely how we connect to the quarry, the clay pit, and the slaughterhouse. And also potentially change the way we get to the food factory to be a little connection off of this track. And also potentially add a little stub off of this track so we don't have to take the long route every single time. But this curve is a lot gentler than this sharp line upwards. And also there are a lot better ways that I could set up this entire section of track as well, so that's what we're going to be modifying once my person gets there. So first thing we're going to do is implement a switch here, and then connect up, oh, wrong track, and then connect up to this ballast embankment here. And then we're also, around this point, we're going to make a little slice in this track, then have a switch off here, and then we are going to connect them like Sometimes the default curves the game makes are nice, and sometimes they are that, which yeah, let's actually start out by going like that beforehand. Still don't like that. That is bad. Okay, because all of the curve options are bad, I am actually going to change this this slope down here. So track objects, let's keep going. So let's bring it out like this, and then we connect it up like this, and then we connect that up. Yeah, that looks a lot nicer. And I will fix that floating switch off camera between this episode and the final episode. So that's just a nice little shortcut that we can have, as this is going to turn into the primary route around as opposed to the secondary route around. So I've never been happy with how we connect up to all of this lot of industry. So I'm going to delete, 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 and then we're going to probably go clay pit, slaughterhouse, and then to quarry, and then that leads around through here to the food factory. And from the food factory, I do want a better route around to this forest camp than just going through a huge tunnel. Well, then maybe we could connect it to this tunnel at this point. There's things to think about. But for now we're going to actually build across this way, go out this way, curve back up this way, and then we're going to just do a quick turn these settings off and check. Oh, we've accidentally hit the gradient by going at gradient 1 the entire time. Then go through there, and then finally we're going to go up and around and connect up there. And that is the new route to the slaughterhouse, which is so much nicer and so much more elegant. Then we're going to take our output and we're going to figure out a way that we can get to the quarry in a similar fashion. By default that is a 2.5% climb, so I'm going to actually set the gradient to 1.5 as our target of what to try for. And we've hit a tunnel, so I need to fetch the locomotive. Yeah, that curve is really smooth. And I already like this route quite a lot. We've hit a tree and derailed. But that shall not stop the route to the quarry, which from here at grade 1. Ooh. Okay, that's fine. We just need to go out this way a lot more and then round to the back. So let's get a grade on. Let's go minus 300. And then I'm glad I got so much money before I started recording, because we are about to use it all up. Okay, nice, the gradient is 1.5, so if we bring this round at say about 200 grade, looks like it will be the most necessary for this. Yes, actually we've overshot, so this last bit will be about 0.2 in the wrong direction, but yes, there we go, that's the new route to the quarry. I hate destroying buffers so much. There. New route to the quarry. So in conclusion, quarry, around, under a little bit of terrain, through to the slaughterhouse, nice big curve, nice curve around to the clay pit, up to a little C-shape there that we just made to make this route shorter. And then I think the final thing that I do want to do is change how we get to the iron mine forest camp situation. Iron works, not iron mine. Actually, after that there will be one more modification, which is the way to the shipyard, which I'm not satisfied with and I want to change a lot. So the best way to do this next bit of route probably be to delete the existing tunnel. The best way to probably do this would be to remove the existing long tunnel, turn the forest camp sort of into a stub, and then there's two ways we could do this. We could just not connect it up at all, because we all the way down this side of the map have a Y into this section, or we could connect up but elsewhere, and I think that's the option that I'm going to take for this. So that's all of the old track gone, because I did it in like 3 segments, which is ill-advised. Especially as I'm pretty sure Greg commented on that video saying, you know, you can build in more than just big segments. Alright, so we can take that switch off, and actually something that I've been needing to do for a while is actually turn it into a Y. The Y can just be like this, and it's not anywhere near the best Y, but it will do the job well enough. At least what we need it to do. Okay, and then we're constructing a little Y here as well. So just before I do anything to these, right, that is 0.9. Okay, that is good. It's great on curve on. Actually, we're going to curve outwards by like negative 250. Seems appropriate. Track objects, switch, U. Connect up to U. Then click U. Then click on the end of the Y. And now we have a much shorter, much nicer connection to the ironworks. And there's a couple stubs of track. There's a couple stubs of track that we just need to clear up now that we have finished that. Because some of the original plans were to connect this up to the original tunnel, which no longer exists. At least once I reload the save, it will no longer exist. There we go, that's all the segments fixed. And the last thing that we will be doing is reworking the shipyard route, because this is not a good route in the slightest. We might bring it out all that way, curve over down onto the beach and then back in. But also something that I might just do right now is reroll mode, take the 050 of guard, and grab the locomotive, the 050 from the heavens, and reassemble my consist so that I can head off to the bauxite mine, where we can then delete the old shipworks track and then make ourselves a new one. So I'm just going to check what is the expected gradient. It's about 1.4. So we could probably set this to about 0.8. Although I actually want it to be minus 0.8. We can go out towards the right instead of the left, so that would be negative 500, no, negative 350, yes. Pull that outwards like that. Then we can curve immediately the other way at 350, which if we just double check, actually that brings us down to a expected grade of minus 2%, so I might actually change that to a minus 1%, so I'm going to keep going out this way, and then maybe we can level out and then curve back the other way. Oops, oh no. Never mind. Okay, that curve's not tight enough, so... And we also should probably check what the expected descent rate is, because I don't want to find that we're accidentally way too low. Alright, minus 0.7, which actually means we can change this to like minus 0.4. Bongo splongo. Minus 280. Yeah, that easily avoids the edge of the world. We can go a lot wider and then connect that up to there, so that looks a lot nicer than before. Actually, I deleted the end stop track here, so I might just shonk that there. Track buffers there. That is a lot nicer and a lot shallower. Actually, now that I look at it, this curve is a little bit horrendous, so I might rework the entire thing, so it will just be up there. And actually, as I walk back up, if you have any locomotive names, then please drop them in the comments for any locomotive in the game, because for the finale, I'm planning on potentially buying one of every single locomotive, at least, and I'm going to have tons and tons of people running if possible. If not, you might only see like 2 people running, but I'm going to try to see how many people we can get running, and I'm going to buy one of each type of locomotive and potentially expand the yard and the consists and stuff. But that's the current plan that I have, is run a bunch of locomotives, run a bunch of trains, make a ton of money, potentially do some more track work, but maybe not. So from here, bauxite mine, what is the expected grade that we need to meet? Is about 1%, so we can set that to like 0.8. On. And what I want to do is I just want to go around that little mound, so we can go sort of out this way, up this way, and then through. So you're still tunneling a little bit, which is undesirable but probably unavoidable, but it also produces a lot nicer of a curve. I think that track might be floating. If it's not, then I'll leave it unchanged, but if it is, you'll see that changed in the next episode. But for now, there's all the track work that I have done before the finale episode. Goodbye. I will also join the Discord server.